Welcome, Michaela and Aaron. I'm glad you guys could come on to this feature program that we're going to be doing weekly. And I wanted to have you guys come on and ask you a few questions because it's not as common for young people to take on some of the projects that you guys have. So I wanted to highlight some of the things that you've done over the last year or two and maybe share just some of your insights if other people have the same interests or ambitions as you do. So we'll start maybe with you, Michaela, and then Aaron, you can answer the same questions or add to it. Just your name and your age and what you do for a profession.
I'm Michaela Hoynes, and I am 22, and I'm a realtor here in Bismarck. I've been a realtor for over 2 years now. I also clean houses on the side, but yeah.
Okay. I'm Aaron. I'm 22, yeah. I had to think about that one for a second. Currently for a profession, I got hit with the layoff hammer like many other people did, but still kind of, active in as far as like maybe the stock market goes. I play that quite frequently, and I don't know, we want to get another flip to get something going, but haven't found anything quite yet.
So just touching on the investment side, you were looking for a way to make, I guess you would call it residual income, a way to put money into an investment and make it without doing work over and over again. It's kind of like a rental where you buy a rental and then you rent it and you get that residual income. So that's similar to your investments. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So my second question for you is, what talents do you feel that you bring to real estate or your house flipping or the projects that you've taken on?
Basically, with being a realtor, it's really nice being able to see all what's out there on the market and be able to do CMAs, comparable market analysis, to kind of see what you could potentially get for that property if you put a certain amount of money into it. And so that's a really plus side to it.
Yeah, and you have a huge like artistic and decorative ability when it comes to, decorating houses or staging them or whatever it may be for her anyways. I guess for me, when it comes to the renovation side of things, I'm still learning just like she is, but when it comes to like, the heavier jobs and stuff like that, I feel like, we've struggled and learned over the years. Luckily, we both have parents who are able to help us with that because they're just more experienced and they've done it. But time, once you do it once you do it twice, you kind of get a little bit better at it. So I'd like to say we're kind of a little bit more on the self-sufficient side as far as flipping and doing all the repairs and stuff. But when it comes to like electrical and plumbing, I gotta ask for help on that one. Big time. But yeah.
Well, let's back up a little bit because I probably made the mistake that most people don't know the projects that you've taken on. So you bought your first property, I guess you'd call it, to renovate and sell, aka flip the home. So do either of you or both of you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, basically, after I moved out of the house, I got an apartment, and so I lived in that for a year, and I hated knowing the fact that I was throwing away almost $1,000 a month. And so I kind of had that idea in the back of my head that I wanted to find something that I could flip and make money off of. And so I asked Aaron if he wanted to go in on a trailer with me. We got it for around $10,000. And yeah, we ended up just throwing ourselves in there, learning as we went, and it ended up doing pretty nice. And so
we definitely went out on a whim with that one. I know the reason why I went out was because I was 20 years old at the time, and just like every other 20-year-old kid, kind of wanted to get out of the house a little bit, but obviously buying a house was completely out of the question. And I already, my dad and my parents kind of taught me, apartments, if you got to do it, you got to do it. But as far as the long-term game, like you mentioned, you're just kind of throwing money into a fire. So yeah, we just kind of jumped right in and got after it, and whatever came up and figured it out as we went. But definitely glad we did it.
Yeah, so you, Aaron, worked daytime, full-time, and then Michaela was working with real estate, and so kind of running back and forth, working on a project, going to show a home, coming back. And so it was real kind of some great teamwork as far as pulling it all together. You brought your own strengths and it turned out
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with it. I'd say, as weird as it sounds, it's probably the most successful flip that we had was our first one when we didn't even know what was going on, as far as budgeting and all, and the profit that we ended up getting out of it. But one could say we definitely got lucky as how it all played out. So.
Well, sometimes it's better not to know the risks, or not to know, because you just jump in and you go for it and success happens. So I'm proud of you guys for doing that. It's pretty awesome. It's a scary venture, but it was worthwhile.
Definitely paid off.
All right, so that you kind of answered some of the questions. I'm looking here. The confidence, maybe that goes to you don't know what you don't know. So you didn't necessarily have confidence, but you had maybe just the lack of knowing what the worst case scenario could be. So you went for it. And would you say you're more confident now?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we kind of have an idea of, if we walk in somewhere, I can vision like what I kind of want to do. So it's easier on that end. And I mean, when water's involved, that's a little more tough. And it's just hard to kind of estimate what is behind anything when you tear it down when water is involved. We've had some tough situations with that, but
yeah, our second flip, when we were looking at it, we got it for a decent price, but I don't know, was it listed or was it the owner?
The bank owned it, and so the seller had told us that they fixed the roof and everything was okay, but then it was the middle of winter, and so we kind of fixed it all up, did new sheetrock, and then when the snow all melted, the roof wasn't completely sealed, so we had to rip out all the drywall and do it all over again.
Yeah, so I'd say definitely do your due diligence. Don't just trust somebody's word that they say, yeah, we resealed it. Awesome. No, not quite. But I mean, that's just the risk you take,
Right.
Yeah. And that's a hard one with a roof in the winter. You can't, even with shingles, it's covered full of snow. So it's not like you can take a hose up there and check if it's leaking.
Right.
There are protections when a home is listed with a realtor. They have to actually, the seller has to fill out what's called a property condition statement. And so they have to reveal any problems. And if they try to hide it, there can be legal ramifications to that. So there is some of those protections, but when it's bank owned or for sale by owner, there isn't necessarily that protection. And that's where an inspection could come in handy. But again, if it's winter and there's snow on the roof, it's tough to find those problems.
Right.
Yeah, kind of looking back at it, we wish, I don't know, you think about an inspection, it pays tenfold on a home, but at the time when you're buying, like a $10,000 trailer, do you want to take, $400 or $500 or whatever it costs to do an inspection on something that's only worth, like I said, like 10. But looking back, I mean, $500 $500 to save you potentially, X amount of dollars is, in my opinion, probably worth it.
Yes.
I wouldn't buy like a duplex or a home without an inspection because of, they are really helpful with how they go into detail and tell you what you need to know about that property before buying.
And they'll tell you potential problems or things that you may need to look at down the road. It might not be something that would prevent you from buying, but at least you have the insight into, this could become a potential problem, or here's some maintenance we could do to prevent further problems. So that is awesome. So any mistakes that you guys maybe made that you learned from, or things that you do differently if you continue to renovate homes?
I guess, like I said, with that water stuff, but another big thing would probably be budget. Just kind of have an idea in your head on what you kind of want to spend, and walk through the house and have an estimate on what items and what things, materials will cost, and basically plan it all out in your head before just jumping into that, because I know that's what we did the first time, but we learned that materials can cost a lot, and so you kind of want to have it organized and what you want to do
But at the same time, you can make a budget. You're like, yeah, we bought this for 10. We want to stick 4 into it, and we want to sell it for 25. That's always perfect world scenario. It's never. I mean, you may think it's gonna go like that, but chances are you're probably, you got a little wiggle room on your budget. So.
Right.
But yeah, and kind of going back to the inspection thing, maybe next time if we're gonna, continue doing the trailer routes, if it's a higher end trailer per se, maybe do an inspection on it because, like we said, it could save you a lot of potential money in the long run and make you aware to, any potential problems. So that's definitely a
Absolutely.
big one. Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, just not be so scared. Just do it. Like if you're on the fence about it, like if you're at home, still living with your parents, if you're our age or something like that. I know it can seem like such a big project to undertake, but like you'll never have the timing will never be 100% perfect. You just kind of roll with the punches and figure it out, and you'll be glad you did.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, our first trailer, I was paying less than I was with renting, and so that kind of really helped out with seeing the vision on how much you can save and actually put money towards something that you'll get money out of in the long run, other than an apartment.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember, did you move in right away and then work on it, or did you do some things first and then you moved in? And
We worked on it as we lived there.
I think we did like the major stuff though before we moved in. Then we buy it, and I can't remember exactly what we did right off the bat. Like
Maybe the carpet or something then we don't have to move all of our furniture and stuff.
Yeah,
But-
we did carpet, and I think we started on the kitchen, but after that, yeah, we just realized we're spending so much time here, you might as well live in it while we're doing it. And then bigger things came about, like ripping out the sliding door and jacking up the wall, which was beyond interesting. But luckily we had the help there because that was, like I said, it was our first one. So to rip out a sliding door and jack up an entire wall on a trailer, it was nerve-wracking to say the least. Luckily we had your dad to help and my dad helped too. So
yep,
it
that was an unexpected thing.
Big
Thinking, well,
time.
maybe it just needed some reinforcement, but you went under and it's like it was hanging by a thread, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, sitting under there with a bottle jack, pumping it up. Yeah, it was interesting.
So you never really know once you kind of tear into it, because at the looks of it, it looked like the floor just needed to be replaced with the carpet and the trim. But then once we kind of dug in more, it's like we got a lot more to do here.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to get started with just even buying a regular home without flipping it, or even if they wanted to try an investment property where they're going to make some sweat equity and do some renovation, what would be your advice on how somebody could get started, or what's needed to do that?
First of all, if you're kind of wanting to look into just a regular home or investment property, basically I would kind of look at how much rent is around that area and do the calculations, because you don't want to be upside down where, I guess, how do you explain that?
Upside down, like penny pinching, trying to make ends meet?
Yeah, because you're supposed to, with the rentals, hopefully you'll get a little bit in return with the rent coming in, rather than paying way more on your mortgage and you're not cutting it with the rent.
No.
Just a regular home.
Well, what do you need to, so what's the biggest barrier to somebody buying a home? It's oftentimes a down payment, right?
Right.
So coming up with the down payment is the barrier or the hard part, because a lot of times the monthly payment over 30 years of a mortgage, it's doable. It's similar to rent, but it's that dang down payment, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you don't have a sizable down payment, obviously your monthly mortgage payment is going to be way more. So if you're going to go into, I guess definitely budget, know what you can and can't afford. Don't be somebody who wants to go in and, it's like people who go out and buy the nicest car right away, even though they're like, I can maybe afford it. And then down the line, you got this subscription, that subscription, all of a sudden this breaks. And now you're really, really struggling to afford it. So be able to swallow that ego pill, if you will, and don't go out and buy the nicest of the nice just because you want to impress somebody or, whatever it may be. stay in control of your budget and, you know, be able to save up a big enough down payment.
Well, not only that, but they do have first-time home buyers, which is super nice for people that do not have, you know, enough money to start off and buy their first property. So you can be able to get into that with 0% down. So that's really helpful.
Doesn't that crank up the monthly mortgage payments though then, if you have nothing down?
No. So
Well, the balance will be, the balance would be higher, so your mortgage payment would be higher. I'm thinking of like Lincoln, you can do a rural housing development loan, and those are oftentimes 0% down or a low percent down, or first time home buyers has a low percentage down. So how the banks do it is they put on what's called a PMI, private mortgage insurance payment, onto your payment, and that just protects the bank when you don't have a down payment, that if you default, they have that PMI payment as kind of an insurance policy for them. So that adds to your payment overall, but it's still, you look at the numbers, and that's what we're here for as real estate agents, is to help you kind of crunch those numbers and see where things fall. So
does that PMI, the payment, that PMI, does that go towards the equity in your house as well? No, that's just that's the coverage for the bank.
Yep, it's just like buying an insurance policy on a car or a home, that it just goes to that insurance company. And then if there's something that happens to the loan, that money then goes to the lender. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer. So to avoid that, you need 20% down.
That's what I was just about to ask you. That can be a sizable amount depending on, you know, the price of the house for sure. 20% is a lot.
And also mobile home financing is different than a regular stick-built home. So if you're thinking to go the mobile home route, generally 10% down is the minimum, and the interest rate is higher, and the amount of years that they amortize it, that is less than a 30-year mortgage. So again, banks, if you talk to a lender, they can guide you through that. There's only 2 companies in town that tend to do mobile home financing if it's on a rented spot, and that would be Capital Credit Union and the View Credit Union. So both of those places are very good about helping people through that process.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said as well as Railway.
Oh, they do it as well.
Yeah, that's what we got our second one through.
Railway Credit Union, Amanda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. I didn't know that. I learned something new today.
She's more of the technical side of things, like with all the back end stuff. I'm still trying to get a hold on that too.
Yeah. Payments and all.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you want to add to help somebody if they're looking to get started with any of the stuff that you guys have done in the short 2 years of time?
Just do it. I mean, the timing's never going to be right. You know, all the cards aren't always going to align. So, I mean, if you're in an apartment right now and you hate, you know, throwing money in the toilet, I mean, the house is not in your budget. Go for a mobile home. Even though the mobile home depreciates in value, the money you'll save doing that versus, you know, then it's actually you're building equity into something your own. You might not own the land, but at least, you know, you own the roof over your head. So, I mean, that's a plus. And
just basically, if you are even thinking about it, really helpful to speak with your lender. They're really good at putting numbers together to kind of walk you through the whole process. That can be super helpful if you want to know like your budget and monthly payment and all that.
Or if you're, you know, going to buy a house, I mean, talk to Lisa or Mick, because I mean, I don't know the process of all buying stuff, and it doesn't cost you anything. So I mean, you'd be kind of dumb not to.
Yeah, that's a good point. So as buyers, you get representation. You get the help from a realtor for free because you don't pay the commission. So for a buyer, absolutely, I would say reach out to a realtor. Michaela and I would love to help you, but any realtor can help you and definitely guide you in the process, and even suggest some lenders that have been really helpful to work with. So,
right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being on and sharing some of your life and your experiences. And I hope this is helpful for some of our viewers that will see this video. So
yes, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Give Nala a squeeze for me. I saw her.
He's been under here messing with us the whole time.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you.